Thank you so very much for absolutely fascinating, thought-provoking speech about some very, very, very topical themes. I would like now to ask David Hooker, the president of Meyer Garden, and Cleves Whitney, the director of the Hauenstein Center for Presidential Studies at GVSU, as well as the president of GVSU, back to the podium for a special presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Birgit, very much. It's great to share the stage with Ambassador Beyrle. Welcome back home, and also with the director of the Board of Trustees, chairman of the Board of Trustees at Grand Valley, and my boss. So thank you all for being here. You know, this is really an important celebration of a life for us at the Hauenstein Center. Just about everybody in this room knows that we lost a remarkable human being about a month ago. Ralph Hauenstein was our North Star at the Hauenstein Center and at Grand Valley. And you know, you heard a lot of comment yesterday, Super Bowl Sunday, 170 million people around the world, 180 different countries. They're watching that Super Bowl, and they hear a lot of comments about most valuable players, impact players. Well, Ralph Hauenstein was our impact player in every sense of the world. Of course, you don't measure a life by the number of years, necessarily. Ralph passed away just 2 months shy of his 104th birthday, so it was an impressive life in terms of length. But it was also impressive in terms of the quality of the impact he made on so many people in this room and the institutions you represent and the lives and the friendships that he formed. If you go back and look at Ralph as an impact player, think of him in the 1930s when he was standing up for the rights of African Americans in his Civilian Conservation Corps. Look at the impact Ralph made in the 1940s when he was in World War II under Eisenhower, the director of intelligence, and he was rolling back the Nazis from continental Europe. Think of the impact Ralph had in the 1950s when he was beginning an entrepreneurial career. And he had a remarkable impact. If you just add up the things that he did in the food business, the machines he made, the food that he made possible, the food he moved around, Ralph fed millions of people, including in the developing world, and he taught them how to feed themselves. And then you look at what Ralph Hauenstein did in the 1960s when he began a remarkable philanthropic career. And there's so many of our institutions here in town that reflect that career. We're proud to carry on his legacy, whether it was through libraries, universities, medical facilities. Ralph touched so many of us in so many ways, and perhaps that's the biggest legacy of all. Ralph was an impact player in our lives personally, and we will always honor him for that. Certainly at Grand Valley we do. Back in 2010, the president of Grand Valley, Tom Haas, had a conversation with Ralph Hauenstein that was very important. He wanted to honor Ralph. Ralph was going on toward his 100th birthday, and Grand Valley was going on toward its 50th birthday. And Tom and Ralph decided to set up a fellowship in Ralph's name, the Colonel Ralph W. Hauenstein Fellowship, to honor Ralph in perpetuity. And it would become the most prestigious honor that we at the Hauenstein Center can confer. And the purpose of that fellowship is to confer the honor to people who've had a decisive impact on our nation and often on our world. People who've had an impact, just as a game-changing impact, people who've made a difference, and we see it in the headlines of the papers. And we're so proud of the work that Ambassador Beyrle has done on behalf of our nation. Not only the distinguished resume, but if you look at the difference he made and the values he projects, the value, for example, of service to one's nation, the debt we owe to our country that has helped us be who we are, the value of taking the time and the effort. This is a polyglot. This is a man who knows 5 or 6 languages fluently. The effort it takes to learn those foreign languages and to be a cultural bridge builder. It's a remarkable amount of effort. The values that he showed when he's sitting at the table opposite Putin and projecting really what this country stands for. And the fact that he learned about prudent diplomacy, Not just blind diplomacy for its own sake, but really understanding that great diplomacy is the best alternative to war. Well, these are the values that are embodied in today's recipient. And at the Hauenstein Center, we are very proud to offer the Colonel Ralph W. Hauenstein Fellowship to Ambassador John Beyrle.
I don't have to give another speech, but I do want to make a few final observations, or let's call them recognitions. There are 3 people in this room who played a formative role in getting me to where I am now, wherever that is. Bill and Mary Seeger, 2 professors of German at Grand Valley State Colleges in 1974, 72 actually when I came, who took a kid from Muskegon, a little green behind the ears, I think, and began to introduce him to the wider world, and also drilled him on the grammar of German in a way that's still stuck to this day. And Christine Rydell, my professor of Russian, the woman who taught me Russian, and more importantly, when I was a junior and for some dumb undergraduate reason I dropped Russian, Christine tracked me down. It wasn't too hard. We were all in the upstairs of, what was it, Lake Huron Hall in those days, and said, "What are you doing? Why did you do that?" And I said, "Well, I'm busy and I have other things." And she, essentially having convinced me to start Russian in the first place, pulled me back off the plank when the chips were down. I owe a lot to Grand Valley, and I owe a lot to those 3 people. Thank you very much.